Maneva Sema PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there.
Welcome back. This Ideas Exchange, and I'm speaking to Bernard Monah tonight. He's one of the leading members of pressure group Ay3 Ghana. The conversation is about the demonstration coming on next week against the governors of the central bank for mismanaging the bank, and then of course helping to crash the economy. Many say the inflation in this country, which skyrocketed to over 50%, was a result of the poor decisions by the Bank of Ghana, which is in bed with government because they are supposed to be independent. Now, this conversation is also trying to look at what really is making the minority and all those who have joined this planned demonstration so angry. Now, the finance minister recently sought to suggest that those making noise are just not reasoning. And I will read exactly how he put it. And it's very, very instructive. And he says, Governor Addison is a competent professional of quiet courage. I'm taking a paragraph out of the long thing he wrote. In these nearly 7 years, we have worked together to ensure the inviolability of the banking system, the establishment of the Consolidated Bank of Ghana and the Development Bank of Ghana, the raising of $10 billion in Eurobond market and the Afri-Exim Bank. He brought inflation down to single digit 7.9% for the first time and changed an impressive period of currency stability in our country, including the implementation of the Gold for Oil program. It is either simply the height of irony or a sad reflection of a state of public discourse in our country that this man steps in at a period of unprecedented global economic meltdown and domestic economic crisis and is being pilloried for his good work. Now, when Finance Minister Ofori Attah, who himself is being asked to go, sought to slap him in the face by suggesting that the Bank of Ghana has done so much and must stay in office, how did this come across to you?
It comes across as a man who is either arrogant, pompous, or simply ignorant of what economic success can be. Sometimes it comes also across that classroom education and certificates are not testimony enough of how well one understands what classroom should have taught you. Basic point is this. What single policy did Ken Ofori Attah introduce that led to economic improvement apart from vanquishing our economy? Ken Ofori Attah inherited a nation where the previous years productivity had sunk so low because there was energy crisis. And that after the energy deficit was solved with augmented generation, industry, all institutions had predicted that Ghana was going to grow.
In fact, that was the World Bank projection.
Yeah.
About 7%.
Ghana was going to grow. And indeed, without anything, if Ghana had sat down, yet by the solutions that were put in place by 2016, 2017, 2018 was going to be a booming year. And that is what Ken Ofori Attah inherited.
But they said that is their track record till COVID came.
When they inherited, in the first year of 2017, President Akuffo Addo was busy forming a government, and therefore no policy was outlined. In 2018, when he started outlining the policies, they were to be implemented in 2019. So in actual effect, no policy of President Akuffo Addo saw full implementation, and therefore could not have yielded the outcomes that they are talking about. The policies of President Akuffo Addo started to show ugly head and ugly face, because you brought in a Minister for Finance who does not understand or did not understand why the MPP actually won power. The MPP won power because President Akuffo Addo said that yetisikaso and so a comedian if you are mamwe mkoye. To wit, we are sitting on money, but we are poor because of the bad leadership, and that we will not borrow. This was supported by the running mate Baumud Bamia, who said that having worked as a deputy governor at the Bank of Ghana, all the money we need to take this country out of its current economic quandary was found in Ghana. When they came, Ken Ofori, and in the useless statement he put, he is talking about going to the Euro bond market and raising $10 billion. In raising that $10 billion, you have already told us that you do not believe that we could raise money domestically to support the programs that President Akuffo Addo said that Ghana yet is Tikaso. That simply tells that economic maturity doesn't.
But they may have spent the $10 billion
on what?
Discrediting the Bank of Ghana governor for that they raised through the Eurobond.
On don't worry, on what?
You are a Ghanaian issue.
You raised $10 billion. There is nothing to prove. Anytime we talk, you tell us that free SHS. Was free SHS not financed from our oil resources?
What about 1D1F?
How is 1D1F something? Which of them is owned by the state?
One village, one dam.
Where? Sankana, there is no dam there. In fact, in the 11 districts in the Upper West region, there is no one village,
one
dam.
Constituency, one warehouse.
It never happened.
The drones are distributing blood.
Where? It never got to my village, and I don't know about your village.
What about Agenda 111?
Where are they located? The Agenda 111, and you see, journalists like you should not want to come and make things worse. You started from Agenda 88 and told us that you complete this before 2020 elections. They were never completed. Then all of a sudden, 88 expanded to 111. You gave us a deadline for which they will be completed. They have not been completed. So what are we talking about? Now, in spite of all this, we have seen how Ken Ofori milk every loan, every Eurobond that was brought into this country. Ken Ofori and Data Bank had a share inside it. Right? And so there cannot be any justification for Ken Ofori to oppose the governor of the Bank of Ghana, because by going to borrow Eurobond, Ken Ofori and Data Bank and Enterprise Insurance or Enterprise, they benefited directly.
Now, when the bank...
So, Eric, what then is happening is that it's like, how do we call it? You scratch my back, I scratch your back. The Minister for Finance went to the governor of the Bank of Ghana and said that we are in liquidity difficulties. How do you solve that? The Bank of Ghana printed 77 billion and gave it to Minister for Finance. Go and use it. Right? So today, if there is a challenge, the minister knows that he caused the governor to be in this kind of crisis. So he has to come to his rescue. When you print 77 billion and give to the government of Ghana, and you turn around and say that 32 billion of that amount cannot be paid.
Written off.
It cannot be paid. And that no matter what you do, that 32 billion cannot be paid. So you have written it off. You have taken pen, cancel 32 billion. Don't pay. It's called bad debt. Look, so when people say that it is that money that you have given to the vice president to be going around and to be spending money in order to win the flag bearership of the MPP race, they are not kidding. When you went to take that money, you were supposed to go to Parliament, for instance, even though I doubt the efficacy of Parliament to reject it. But Parliament should have been informed that you are going to print money for the government, the Minister for Finance. You didn't. Now, when you are even going to cancel the debt, you are not informing Parliament. You have run a loss of 60 billion, 60.8 billion, a negative equity of 55 billion. What it simply means is that the Bank of Ghana is bankrupt.
But the Bank of Ghana governor spoke recently, and again he's suggested that Q1, Q2, the growth rate is beyond what they anticipated, and everything is going well.
If you run bankrupt, and you know that as a bank, a central bank, one of your functions is to ensure that any other bank suffering liquidity problems with their clients, you support them with the function of lender of last resort. Today that the bank itself is negative, how will you function as a lender of last resort? When we talk, you say that the bank will still be able to do what it has to do. If the bank will do so, Eric, the machinery is simple. the bank has to print more money so that they can supply. Now, when you print more money, it means that you will have more money chasing limited goods and services. And when you have more money chasing limited goods and services, inflation will go up. Cost of living will go up. And then the citizens become worse off. Ken Ofori Attah is saying that what? That in the scheme of all this, they have achieved what? They simply don't get it. And that is why we think that if the president cannot sack the governor, common sense should tell the governor that I have underperformed. I should give way for efficient and better persons. After all, is it not NPP and President Akuffo Addo who kept shouting they have the men, not knowing that they don't even have the boys?
Now, before we begin to wrap up, I want to ask this question. You would notice that when this Occupy Bank of Ghana demonstration was announced, there were back and forth meetings between the police and the minority. Eventually, the police went to court, a date was fixed, and that forced the minority or compelled the minority to postpone the date. In the demonstration organized against government, i.e. Occupy Bl00dy House, the police went to court at the very last minute. I'm picking rumors that the police may try to provoke your members again by going to court to secure an injunction to stop the protest on October 3rd.
Well, I have told the minority that their level of weakness is beyond compare.
The NDC or the minority?
The minority is actually the NDC. Still is the minority.
Why would you say they are weak?
They are weak because, see, when people want to use legal gymnastics to frustrate you, you jettison that legal process and go revolutionary. When you notify the Ghana Police Service 3 weeks to the event and 2 days or a day to the event, they choose to go to court, you ignore them. You do the event.
Would that be breach of court procedures?
Which one is the court
contempt?
An application seeking an injunction is not an injunction. You have gone to court to apply seeking an injunction. And the date for the injunction hearing is after your protest. So go and do your protest and go. Is that not the same thing the EC is doing? The Electoral Commission said that you have gone to apply for an application seeking an injunction. An injunction has not been granted. So yes, you have served us an application. We will not respond. Then you go to court and say that, look, I am seeking an injunction. They say they don't want. Then you go to court and say, court, there is an application before you. These people are conducting their exercise. So contempt of court. You go and get the contempt. The EC ignores the contempt and they are going on with their exercise. When they finish, they will come to the court. The court can decide to imprison them. And I'm looking for the situation where the courts in Ghana will imprison the minority leader. Imprison the minority, deputy minority leader. Imprison the chief whip. In fact, imprison the entire minority. And imprison all of us. And Ghana democracy will flourish. If that is the option that they want, let us do it.
So you think the system is, they are not provoking the system?
No, the minority is simply too docile. They must show muscle. If the Electoral Commission that has to safeguard our democracy and safeguard our laws can decide that they will ignore and jettison our laws, what is your business? And then you go and then say, your lawyers come and say, oh, don't do this because there is an injunction application. Are you the only legal people in this country? I have insisted where I sit today. Serve me an application, I will receive it. But seeking an application is not the same thing as the grant of an application. We will do what we have to do because Article 21 of the 1992 Constitution is a fundamental human right. You know what it means to say fundamental human right? It's not just any right, but a fundamental human right. And fundamental human rights are not issues to be joked with. I will not joke with my rights.
It's a survival tool.
It is in the category of the right to vote, the right to education, the right to life. And so my right to live is granted in the Constitution, and no one should tempt my right. And so when you have some people that come and say, no, let's be cautious, if we do this and we win power, they will do to us, win the power first and wait for what they will do. Don't anticipate what will happen when you have not won the power. What is happening today, if we put our eyes low, by the time we raise our eyes,
it will be too late.
It will be too late. And well, that is why I am energized by the community engagement. Yesterday, when we decided to engage the people and they started to speak, then you know that Charlie,
okay, so Bernard Monah has been my guest. I'll read it.
PENDREAM TV. Now, so far so good. Say open online portal e Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.